I welcome you to our program, Integrated Theology, and we are in the fourth class, which is entitled Theosophy Philosophy. I am your host, Bishop Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and today we're going to continue with the Islamic Golden Age, Part 2. Now, when we begin, we have to understand that the Islamic faith made great contributions to philosophy. Islamic philosophy, known as falsafa, was characterized by the attempt to synthesize Hellenistic, especially Aristotelian and Neoplatonic thought with Islamic doctrine, leading to major debates. Al-Kindi, around 873, considered the first of the Islamic peripatricians, philosophers. He saw philosophy as complementary to Islam and essential for understanding the truth. Al-Farabi in 950 synthesized Plato's and Aristotle's political philosophy into an Islamic context, contributing to metaphysics and the concept of the ideal state ruled by philosopher/prophet. Ibn Sina, or Avicenna, of 1037, he was a polymath, and a polymath is one who is educated in many great subjects and has a well handle on it. Many would call them a scholar. So he was a polymath whose philosophical system, which was called Avicennaism, deeply influenced scholasticism in Europe. He argued that reason could help comprehend the divine, and that necessary existence, which was God, could be proven through pure intellect. And now we see how many of the studies of the theological branches were fed by the philosophical, which was fed by the scientia. And I call this tertiaric stem a tertiaric cycle, because knowledge leads to philosophy, how you perspectivize the philosophy. Philosophy leads to theology, which is the mind of God, or the Logos. And the mind of God is what produces science or knowledge, and the knowledge then comprehended through perspectivism, which goes back to God, and God then unleashes more knowledge. Then there was Al-Ghazali. He was a theologian in 1111 who critically challenged the philosophers like Avicenna and Farabi. He wrote a book, The Incoherence of Philosophers. His critique emphasized that the primacy of faith and revelation over pure reason through his work, and though his work ultimately led to a more sophisticated theological discourse. And so he was saying that faith and revelation, faith is, of course, believing what God has said, and revelation, that which comes from God. And so he believed that through faith, understanding can be gained, and through the connection with God or the divine, more information could come. And so he tied both intellectual pursuits of scholasticism with faith and relationship. Then there was Ibn Rushd, or Averroes. So Ibn Rushd, or Rushd, he launched a staunch defense of Aristotelian rationalism against Al-Ghazali. His commentaries on Aristotle were instrumental in reintroducing the Greek philosopher to Europe, where he significantly influenced Western scholasticism. and he argued for the compatibility of philosophy and religious law. Then there was the enduring legacy of the Islamic Golden Age, and its scholars established a tradition where rational inquiry and empirical observation were validated and encouraged as ways to uncover the divine order in the universe. And so, as we go a little further, there was what we call the Mugarnas dome. And one of the most distinctive and mathematically sophisticated scenarios, these elements of Islamic architecture, often described as honeycomb vaulting or stalactite vaulting. Here is a detailed explanation of the structure and the function, and we can't stay too long because there's so many things there. The structure of the geometry of the Mugarnas. The Mugarnas, then, is a three-dimensional geometric composition made up of multiple tiers of niche-like elements or cells that project over the tier below. The composition and the components that were the cell, the entire composition is made from a limited set of simple prismatic, small niche cells, and half of a cone or quarter dome, the building blocks. These cells then were combined and created a complex articulate surface. The tiers, the cells were arranged in horizontal layers or tiers, with each tier slightly overhanging. And so tier overhang one beneath it, and it is similar to corbelling. And this stacking and projection is what creates the characteristic of the stalactite or the honeycomb appearance. And there's so much more here, but I want to go ahead and move on down to the aesthetic, the optical, and the symbolic significance. The aesthetic and optical effects were very important because it was a play of light and shadow, the intricate, multifaceted surfaces scattered and diffuse light in a dynamic way. As the sun moves, or as one moves through the space, the shadows shift, making the dome appear to be in constant fluid motion. This effect often gives the sense that the massive stone or brick structure is light, delicate, and almost dissolved. It was the illusion of infinity. And so the repetitive and intricate nature of the geometrical cells, which follow precise mathematical rules, but are impossible to fully grasp visually, evoke the Islamic tradition of using infinite patterns to represent the non-repetitive, boundless nature of God. From the theological framework or symbolism, it's very important because it brings out the representation of the heavens. And so the Mugarnas dome serves as a powerful metaphor for heaven, or the vault of heaven, or the cosmos. The upward pointing tiers of the Mugarnas are interpreted as a visual metaphor of the ascent of the soul towards the divine, or the multiple levels of paradise. And then there is the divine order, which is called Tawheed. And Tawheed, then, the underlining invisible geometric rules that govern the formation of the complex 3D shape, reflect the belief that the universe, though appearing chaotic or immense, is ultimately governed by a single, rational, and perfect divine order. And so Tawheed, the oneness of God, the geometrical perfection made visible in the Mugarnas, is a physical testament to the perfection of the Creator. And so they avoided also figurative art as a non-figurative architectural ornament. It aligns with the Islamic emphasis on abstract art, geometrical, the calligraphy, and the arabesque to avoid anthropomorphic representations of the sacred. Even in many of the ancient or the Orthodox Jewish sects, they avoid bringing anthropomorphism or anthropomorphism into their religiosity. They may see things like bushes or candles or other things, but in times past, they often avoided the images of the human. And so when we speak of the origin of the Mughal, it is believed to have originated in the Eastern Islamic world, Iran or Iraq, around the 10th or 11th century, spreading quickly across the Islamic world from North Africa to Spain, where it is known as Makarabi. And so the materials varied by region. It was typically executed in stone in Syria, Egypt, and Turkey, in brick, sometimes covered with plaster in Iran and Iraq, and often in plaster or carved wood in North Africa and Al-Andalus in Spain. And so the Mughal dome thus stands as a pinnacle of Islamic design, marrying sophisticated mathematics, engineering, with a profound religious and aesthetic concept approached or attached to it. And we're going to have to stop right here for the sake of time, and we will be back. This has been Theosophy Philosophy, our fourth course in integrated theology, and I am your host, Bishop Dr. Derek A. Reeves. Until next time.